SwainEvent, fueled by Dead End Barbecue. And we are joined now by Austin Price of VolQuest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Austin Priceless. His time is brought to you by Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. AP, good morning, sir.
What's going on, Jason?
What's up? What's up, man? What's up?
I was just watching the whole thing on YouTube to see like what kind of lag time we had between like when you actually introed me and when it introed me on the YouTube channel. So not too shabby. It's only a couple seconds behind, which that would naturally be the case. And I could see your lovely face and Ben's lovely face, so it's a win.
Yeah, man. We bumped up the internet, man, yesterday. So, man, we did that. So it's even faster now. So we get it to you a little bit quicker, man. Hey, man, we got the glass breaking for you. That's close, ain't it? Ain't it close to Steve Austin intro?
Close enough.
All right.
There's a bunch of different options. I have a light bulb drop, a fluorescent, a glass break, a window smash, a break glass, a fluorescent light bulbs break, a pane, a light bulb break, a small one, a drop one, a break one, a smash, an impact. Whatever you want, AP, we got it.
Yeah, man. We trying to make you comfortable, man, as close as possible to the Stone Cold intro, man. We can't really play it now, but we're trying to make you comfortable, man. You are a guest, man. You're a guest. Trying to make you comfortable.
I think you just got to forfeit the monetization and for my segment and play me the Stone Cold music.
I don't know about that, man.
Here you go, AP. Listen closely.
I don't know, man. You only get one
Can
stimulus.
I get a hairline crack of an egg? Can that be my intro?
We'll have to get back to you on that one. We got to go to the research department team. Man, what are you hearing as far as workouts, man? I hear some guys stepping up and stepping forward and making a really good impression, but I want to know who you are hearing about.
Well, I mean, you obviously see the guys that, have stepped forward on those videos, like the Tyler Barons, who looks, and Tyler's always kind of been a very capable leader. And if, you can pull that out of him, he sky's the limit. But I continue to hear, just good things about, some of the veteran guys. Jalen Hyatt has really, he's not one you're going to see out there vocally leading, but like as far as work ethic, has really put in a ton of work this offseason. The quarterbacks have been, on point to this point as far as workouts. But, all that stuff's good. But, all these kids want to do is get to the practice field on the 23rd and, and start learning. It's going to be a long road between now and when Tennessee plays the game the first part of September. It's all about learning. It's about, grasping, what the new staff wants to get done and honestly taking it slow because, I know fans in general, it's not Tennessee fans, it's all fans. Even if you're not expected to be great, you kind of work yourself up into the notion that, you're going to overachieve and all this stuff. So, let's kind of get out there on the grass and run around and see what happens. And, let's see what the defense looks like. I mean, to me, that's the way bigger question mark. Just because, one, you don't have the continuity that you have on the offensive side of the ball with the staff. And then, two, I think the defensive side of the ball is a lot thinner than the offensive side. I think the offensive side has, more depth. It has more talent. So I think, for Tennessee this spring, they need to kind of figure out who can be playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. So, all the offseason stuff, the workouts, it's great. But, I think at the end of the day for this football team and for this football program, getting out there and doing real football activities will go a long way.
I'm going to ask you this not because it's not something that I'm looking to learn from the question, but I want you to answer it for the good people. We had someone ask that on the text box about the status of Kavars Crouch and Henry To'o. I did hear defensive coach, kind of just keep it to worrying about the guys who are currently on the football team, and they're not with the team. But just from your information, what can you tell us about Crouch and Toto?
Well, Henry's remained back in California. I was told early on when Heupel got here that Crouch had decided to stick around for spring, but obviously that has done another 180, and it's not going to be the case. And I think that the coaches hit the nail on the head. I think you have to worry about who's here. You can't get caught up in worrying about who's not here. I mean, to me, they're technically going to school at Tennessee, but they're not part of your football program. Henry's not been a part of your football program in the last several months, and it is what it is. I know Vol fans love Henry. I think Henry, if he had his choice, would have at least went through spring here. But his dad and his family decided against that, and he's not going to be here. If he was, he would have already been back. And so ultimately, all Josh Heupel and Tim Banks and the defensive staff can do is worry about the guys that are in the building, start preparing some of these younger players, less experienced players, to be in more key roles on the defensive side of the ball, and that's what you have to do. I mean, I think that for like guys like Wanye Morris and Keyshawn Lawrence and Eric Gray, they moved on and didn't leave Tennessee dangling out there. For Henry and Quavaris, obviously you can say well, they didn't have time, whatever. I mean, they chose to do what they chose to do, and so I don't blame the staff for moving on and focusing on the kids that are currently in the building, because to me those are the ones that matter.
Austin, what were your takeaways from listening to the defensive assistants speak on Monday?
Well, I mean, it's refreshing to hear assistants talk first, and then second off, I just thought that all those guys are really polished, and you can tell that they've all coached at the Power 5 level for several years. I mean, again, the experience on this staff lies on the defensive side of the ball, and that's just the fact. I mean, you look at Rodney Garner, 30 years in the SEC. Brian G. Mary stops at Louisville, at Texas, at South Florida, at Michigan. Eckler's been at so many different big-time schools, coaching special teams and outside backers. Tim Banks has been at several Power 5 schools. It just Willie Martinez is another veteran who's been at so many Power 5 schools. So they're polished, and they get it. They get dealing with the media. They understand what it takes to succeed. And the biggest thing now is getting this defensive staff, Jason, to mesh. Again, they've all done it, individually at a lot of different places. But how can they work collectively? If they can mesh as a unit, then I think this defensive staff will be a really good fit and great hires for Josh Heupel.
Austin, you mentioned it's good to hear from the assistant coaches, and the last regime did not allow assistant coaches to talk regularly. We barely heard from them. Do you anticipate that this regime will allow the assistant coaches to talk more to the media? I know you had mentioned that would be the best idea for Josh Heupel and company, to give the fans as much access as possible. What do you see happening with that?
Yeah, I do. I think Josh Heupel understands that the current state of Tennessee football, you've got to sell something, that you got to be different, and I think getting his assistant coaches out there to sell the program is smart. I think it's smart on his part. You can give a lot of credit to the football SID, Bill Martin as well. Bill's been very forward thinking in a lot of this stuff. Out of all the the coaching changes in this league, Tennessee was the only one that had actual media in attendance for press conferences. And so I think that you'll continue to see more forward thinking from the sports information department, and I think Josh just gets that part of it. He understands that they've got to be different, they've got to sell. So I think you're going to hear a lot more from assistant coaches. That don't mean they're going to talk all the time, but you're going to hear more from them than just once, every 5 months or once a year. I think you're going to hear from them several times throughout spring practice, and then once the season gets here.
Austin, two more quarterbacks are off the board since the last time we spoke. Caden Martin, I know he's a little bit different, but ended up going to Miami, and then Drew Aller committed to Penn State on Monday. Just what have you heard about Tennessee's recruitment of the quarterback position since the last time we spoke last Tuesday? And I guess this may be the theme of the next couple of months, or the question we ask over the next month or two is what's next for Tennessee at the quarterback position?
Well, I mean, Caden Martin was never getting recruited here to play football, and so he's a baseball guy. I mean, he signed with Miami to play baseball, and will play baseball at Miami if he doesn't play baseball professionally. The opportunity to play football is there, but once he goes to a game as a football player, he has to go on football scholarship. Well, you're not going to, use a scholarship up for a kid unless you feel like he can really, benefit you. And so, the likelihood is Caden will play baseball at Miami or play baseball professionally going forward. As for Drew, Tennessee just kind of, late getting in there. Again, coaching change, all that, it doesn't line up. Taven Jackson, to me, remains still top of the board. But and the fact that he's not doing anything or doesn't plan to do anything anytime soon helps Tennessee because they're not, they're able to play catch up in a lot of ways. AJ Swan's a kid from North Georgia that, Tennessee has offered. They like. He continues to blow up in recruiting circles. I'm not sure how close he is to a decision, but that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, like again, Tennessee to me, the worst thing they can do is just knee jerk, something and take a kid they don't really want. I think they're better off to play the long game. They're better off to continue to call Ty Simpson, continue to call Sam Horn, continue to work Taven Jackson, continue to work A.J. Swan. To me, you don't just take one to take one. You be selective and you take your time. And if that means that, you may, be waiting a while to get your quarterback, that's what it means. I think that's the smart, prudent play at this point.
How impactful is it going to be in Tennessee's search for a quarterback over the next couple of months in terms of evaluating quarterbacks that they won't be able to host players on campus and they won't be able to go off campus to maybe watch a spring game or something along those lines?
Well, I think that goes for just recruits in general, Ben. I mean, some of these kids are saying, well, okay, I'm going to give Tennessee the next couple of months, Problem is, the next couple of months, Tennessee can't come to you, and you can't come to Tennessee. Now, you can come, and you can walk around campus and get a feel for things, or you could come to the spring game, but you can't interact. You can't go into the football facility. You can't go into the academic facility. You can't do any of these things and meet with people. So how does Tennessee be different? How can they do something different? How can they, again, be forward thinking to try to, I guess, kind of halt the momentum of other schools with certain prospects and just kind of buy more time? That's the thing that Josh Heupel and the recruiting department at Tennessee have to figure out, is how can they, find a way to prolong some decisions until they have enough time to legitimately get a look. Because, think about it. If things were fully open right now, Tennessee would have had multiple junior days the last couple of weeks, and all these kids would have gotten to get face-to-face with the staff, kind of get their hands on the staff and understand what Tennessee's about. Right now, Tennessee's just doing a lot of Zooms. I mean, that's better than regular phone calls, but at the end of the day, it's not the same. Like, the one good thing is, like, for certain guys, like look at Dallin Hayden. Dallin, Tennessee's battling Notre Dame and Ohio State. Dallin's never been to Notre Dame. He's never been to Ohio State. So all he is seeing is things through Zoom. So, like, to me, that's not a bad thing, because now, he's wanting to go and see these schools, which means that he's going to wait until things open back up, whenever that is, and then we'll go from there. So, like, as long as you have kids that think in those terms, that means he's going to come see Tennessee. He'll go see Ohio State. He'll go see Notre Dame and whoever else he wants to go see before making a decision. And at that point, you're kind of on a level playing field in a lot of ways. So I think, if Tennessee can get more kids to think like that, think like Dallin and his family are handling things, I think the better.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com here. His time is brought to you by Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. As players are leaving, exiting, you had, another player from Tennessee enter the transfer portal. The number one question I think most fans have is, okay, how many spots does that leave for players to go out and, for Tennessee to go out and get players and fill those spots? And we've asked you this before, but just want to clarify and kind of revisit how does numbers work as far as the players leaving and how many players could Tennessee potentially get in the transfer portal?
Well, you're still working off a cap of 25. So, you had Tennessee sign around 20. They ended up losing a couple. I think a lot of it. So Tennessee's got around 5-6 spots. Problem is Tennessee may want to be forward thinking and say, hey, we're going to only sign 22, so we're going to here's 3 scholarships from the 21 class that we're going to sacrifice in our self-imposed punishment with the NCAA. I don't know what Tennessee's thinking in those terms, but I think I would go ahead. Instead of just taking a warm body to take a warm body, I would go ahead and sacrifice a few scholarships to throw towards the, self-imposed punishment that we all know is coming. I think that's probably something Tennessee will do. But no, if Tennessee loses 6 guys to the transfer portal in the next 2 weeks, Tennessee doesn't get 6 new spots. That's why a lot of college coaches would love to see them come off the cap of 25, because of the transfer portal. Hey, we could lose 30 kids in 1 year, but we can sign 45 now if we want to get our numbers back normal. We'll see if that happens, and see if they kind of change how they do things as far as a hard cap on numbers with the 25, or do they go back to allowing schools to sign 32 like there was a few years ago?
Austin Price, VolQuest.com. Austin, man, good stuff as always. What do you have at VolQuest.com that you guys are working on, that you're getting ready to release? What's coming down the chute?
Well, we just have continued recruiting coverage, and Rob will continue to get us ready for the basketball tilt coming up on Friday with most likely the Florida Gators, which would mean Tennessee plays the same team back-to-back times. And then we'll have our Thursday podcast up probably about midday tomorrow. We won't tape it till late morning, but we will have our Thursday mailbag podcast. So get your questions in now.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com at Austin Priceless, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man, and continue thoughts and prayers to you and your family, my friend.
Appreciate it, Jason. Thank you, buddy.
All right, see you.